Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for showing up. Just type in a comment. Hello from Florida. We love seeing and hearing where you guys are joining from, so feel free to share. Hope this finds you well. All right, just got to pin a comment. Pinning a comment can be challenging. Okay, we got it. All right, I did that. Welcome, everyone. How are you doing? Hello. Welcome back to another edition of TWLOHA at home. I am at my parents' home in Florida, and this is our second week of making it a worth living for edition of TWLOHA at home as we work our way towards September 10th, which is World Suicide Prevention Day. And this is the biggest campaign we do each year. It's our favorite time of year, the days and weeks leading up to September 10th. Every year we build a campaign around a statement or a phrase that has resonated with us in recent months. So this year's phrase, worth living for, comes from a poem written and performed by our friend Levi the poet. And we are grateful to Levi for letting us borrow these words. And the main thing I want to express in these opening announcements is you can learn all about the campaign at worthlivingfor.com. What is it? Why do we do this? How can I get involved? You can find all of the details, all of the information at worthlivingfor.com. I want to acknowledge last week was their debut. They are back this week. We created a TWLOHA team account so that our team can answer some of your questions, fill in some of the gaps while I'm talking. So look for comments from the TWLOHA team account and certain questions they'll be able to answer. If you have questions for Aaron Moore, who is our first guest, or Ashlyn Harris, our second guest, use the question mark icon at the bottom of the screen. So we love seeing your comments. Those are great throughout, but if you have a specific question for one of the guests, please submit there. It just keeps them organized and we can pick through. With that, I mentioned their names, but excited about two great guests. Last week, we had Morgan Harper Nichols and Chris Sullivan, and that was a great way to kick off the campaign. This week, again, we have licensed mental health counselor Aaron Moore and another Orlando resident, Ashlyn Harris, goalkeeper extraordinaire, total badass. Two people I am proud to call my friends. And let's see, what other announcements do I have? Introduce the campaign. So a couple specifics. We are raising money. We're trying to raise $250,000, and that money will go to treatment and recovery. It's going to help people get the professional help that they need and deserve. The primary way we do that is through selling World Suicide Prevention Day packs, which includes the shirt that I'm wearing. The pack is made up of stickers, bracelets. You can add on masks, headphones this year from our friends at Skull Candy. So you can create your own World Suicide Prevention Day pack. You can donate to the campaign. Again, we're trying to get to that $250,000 goal. Or you can become a fundraiser. I'm excited that one, if not both of our guests today will be fundraising again for the campaign. So again, learn all about it, worthlivingfor.com. We would love for you to get involved. Ben Titchener, hello, my friend. Almost through. Anyone that orders a WSPD pack between now and midnight Eastern on Thursday using the code WORTHIT, no space, worth it, will receive a free WSPD keychain and a WSPD pin with their pack. So use the code WORTHIT, 2 words together, between now and midnight Eastern on Thursday. You will get a free keychain, free pack. We, in addition to going live here on Instagram on Tuesdays, we're going live for roundtable conversations on Facebook on Thursdays. We have our first one this week. So this Thursday, 4 p.m. Eastern, same time, Joelle Leon, who I love, Sarah Johnson from Mission 22, and this week's podcast guest, which is Steve Wynn, sorry, Jessica Orenstein from the Jed Foundation, and this extraordinary group of people will be discussing stigma. So each week we build the Facebook roundtable conversation around a different theme that relates to World Suicide Prevention Day. So those folks, Joelle, Sarah, Steve, and Jessica, will be talking about stigma. Again, Thursday, 4 p.m. Eastern, over on our Facebook. $250,000 goal by September 13th. 100% of these funds help us sponsor counseling sessions and run our Find Help tool. It breaks down to 3,500 individual counseling sessions and 45,000 searches using the Find Help tool on our website, TWLOHA.com. So we love that all of this money, it's not just a random fundraiser, but specifically we're going to help people in those ways. 3,500 counseling sessions, 45,000 searches from our Find Help tool. And last but not least, we are off to a great start. We're right around $9,000 raised, on our way to $250,000. And it's a great time to sign up. There's still a bunch of days, obviously, between now and September 10th. Worthlivingfor.com. We would love for you to be a part of this conversation and the fundraising. Thank you for being here. Ashlyn always draws a crowd, so there's a few more people than usual. Or maybe I could be wrong. These could be all fans of Aaron's counseling. Either way, we are glad that you are here. Thank you for spending a little bit of time with us. It's afternoon here on the East Coast in the US, but wherever this finds you, we're glad that you're here. And with that, I'm going to bring on my friend Aaron Moore, who joins us from Solace Counseling, which he owns and leads with his wife, Michelle Moore, in Orlando, Florida. All right. And thank you for your questions. I see some of those coming in. Aaron is coming.
Yo.
Dude, the Magic are winning in this moment.
Oh, they just want that. I think they've got it.
How do you feel about that?
I feel pretty good. Pretty good.
I dig it. I was rooting for Kyle Korver and the Bucks, but that's neither here nor there. This is like last week where you and I have a similar setup right now.
Right?
But this is the most beard I've seen you with.
Yeah, Michelle's she's not a fan.
Oh, her vote counts more than mine, for sure.
Yeah. So I'm kind of like, it'll be for a little bit, but it's not going to last too long.
I hear you. How are you, man? It's good to see your face.
You too, brother. You too, man. No, we're good. We're good. Kind of, I'd say the same old, but it's all weird now. So
yeah. Well, we talked earlier, not with an audience, but you and I spoke earlier, and it's been a couple months since we did this together. And I wonder, maybe a place to start, you've been a counselor. How many years have you been a counselor?
Like 15 or 16.
Okay. So how does being a counselor in 2020 compare to all those other years?
Oh man. It's a lot weirder. Like, I think that's a lot weirder. Yeah, for sure. Like, I think, yeah, I mean, this is like, I feel like this is like this whole thing. What's funny for us is, I think I said it a couple months ago, like we moved offices like the first week of the pandemic. And so we literally got keys to a new office. Yes, I'm an LMHC, to your question, whoever asked that. But we got keys to a new office and then literally sent out an email saying that we were going to do all virtual.
Yeah.
So everything went, doing telehealth, video and so, which I think a lot of counselors had done. We've all done some of before, but everybody's doing a lot of now. So that's just, like those like practical pieces are really interesting and different, and just having to kind of learn how to be really, really flexible. But I think for whether you're a counselor or for anybody, this really is just such a, it's such a strange time, and it's not any more like normal now than it was like months ago. It's actually probably like even stranger now, so constantly having to kind of go, okay, like, like my kids are home, like they literally are home. They probably will like bust in the door here in a second, so having to figure out like, how do you as two working people balance like having little kids at the house and then, trying to work and trying to go to the office and see folks. And and be available for, you know, people who kind of, you know, need to, you know, be able to go to counseling. Like that's
Yeah.
what we were talking to a good friend of ours who's actually a dietitian here in Orlando, and she was talking about that the other day. That it's like, man, like we feel like our, you know, what we do is really, really needed right now, you know, and so you want to really be available, but it's also like a really hard time to, you know, balance everything that we all are having to learn to do when you
Yeah.
don't have all the school structures and everything that we were used to up until March.
Yeah. I want to get to what you're seeing and hearing from clients, but before we go to them, I wonder, has it been, or maybe what has the adjustment been like for you shifting primarily, or I guess exclusively to telehealth, which is a fancy word for video, right? Kind of what
Yeah.
we're doing now.
Yeah.
And then in the midst of juggling not only telehealth, but kids at home, working from home, you know, you're not only a counselor, you're a husband, you're a dad, you co-own this business with your wife. So I wonder what has juggling and what has that transition been like, you know, over the course of this year?
Yeah. Well, we went to telehealth fully for the first couple months. We're actually a little bit about half and half now.
Yeah,
The space we're in now is kind of big enough, and we have multiple rooms where pretty much we can kind of social distance the whole way. Nobody ever has to
sure.
be in a room with anybody else other than their counselor, and we're, you know, probably 8 or 10 feet apart. So we're balancing a little bit of both. But I mean, I think that's been like the key thing. I think for everybody is trying to figure out how do you do this weird balance that it honestly at times is just really stressful. You know, and so I know for Michelle and I, like I get up crazy early, you know, probably exercise a little bit, and then I go to work really early, and I, you know, see a bunch of, you know, clients for counseling all the way through the morning, through half the afternoon, and then Michelle shows up in the car with the kids. I walk out, get in the car, drive the kids back home, and
Wow.
working. So that's what's happening right now. She's at the office, and I'm home with the kids, and wondering what my daughter said she's going to make something in the kitchen.
Oh,
So we'll see what happens with that. Um,
um, I I alluded to it a moment ago, but what do you continue to see and hear
yeah,
from folks as you do this work?
yeah, man. I mean, I think you know, I was thinking about this, and actually, probably like a month ago, yeah, I had some conversations with some folks, and really, you know, I think early on, you know, we thought like, man, the craziest times, like the heaviest times, are going to be early. You know, it's April, it's May, and for most of the folks that I'm working with and talking to, it actually wasn't. It's actually been the last couple months were much harder. I think
Mm.
the novelty wore off. For some of us, the finances dried up. For some of us, kind of the okay, we're home for a little bit and it's new. You know, I mean, I know in Florida, like it's a real thing here in Orlando where people in April and May, they're like, it's beautiful outside. I'm home, but you know, I'm hanging out in the front yard, talking to neighbors, and now everybody's like, it's 100 degrees, and
Yeah,
if I walk outside, the lightning might kill me. You know,
yeah,
like so that's real stuff. Like I think that's really worn people down. You know, and the fact that like I think things have felt more up in the air, and all those issues, things have actually in a lot of ways for most people have felt like they've gotten even more um, right, you just way even more in the gray as to like what the future holds.
yeah.
So that amount of disruption I feel like has been way more, you know, upsetting, you know, for all of us in the past couple months. You know, and I know for friends of ours who have, you know, kids kind of all ages, and for the kids themselves, the questions of, am I going back to school? Am I not going back to school? You know, it's one of those situations where it's just so hard. And no matter what people decide, they feel like they're doing something wrong.
Sure. Or
Uh,
someone might be making them feel
yeah,
like they're doing something wrong. Yeah.
yeah. I'm like, if I tell y'all what we're doing, somebody will probably have some comments.
Oh, yeah.
um, but in that I think that has just really beat all of us down. Like that has taken a toll into July and August that was far different
Mm.
than kind of March and April. And
So,
I feel like that's really significant.
yeah. So I know you're not here to counsel 260 people, um, but I wonder, with that, I'm guessing there's a bunch of people that can relate to what you just said. And are there any tools or ideas that you would offer to someone who goes, man, I feel that, that's me, I'm in that place?
Yeah, I think we have to like early on, right? There were kind of jokes early on, you know, I think through this as to like what everybody was doing to be like, okay, I'm learning how to bake bread, you know, I'm building something in my yard, you know, like all this like self-improvement stuff. And it's interesting, for a lot of us, that junk wore off like
Yeah.
real, you know, it's kind of like a new year like workout like plan. But one thing that I feel like is really important is we do have to kind of really dig deep to try and keep getting creative.
Mm.
You know, and kind of creativity and flexibility go hand in hand. And so we have to kind of keep being open to reinventing how do we pursue some of what we need.
Mm.
Because now, like, I mean, you know, my kids are going to go back to school next week. So that changes a lot. That changes a
Yeah.
lot of perspective on like so I'll have to kind of reinvent, okay, how do I take care of myself now that I got to wake these kids up, you know, and Michelle and I got to get them ready for school at 6:30 a.m. And so I think with each change and the things that we lose from like your old normal, there's grief there,
Mm.
but we got to kind of fight to let the grief birth some creativity and flexibility to go, okay, how do I connect to people? Like, how do I keep, you know, maintaining friendships? How do I keep asking myself, man, do I need like more support than I'm getting? Do I need to connect to counseling? Do I need to connect with more family? And how can I do that? How can I fight for those things?
Yeah.
The other thing I would say is as we do kind of get pushed into some changes, you know, like if you're going back to school, if you're a college student who's going back to school, well, you got to be aware that that stuff is going to take a toll on you. You know,
Mm.
and I think everybody can kind of relate. Like you go out, sometimes you go to the store, you go back to college. I've talked to students or parents, like, you know, somebody goes back to college and that in itself is like triggering for some significant anxiety. So
Mm.
recognizing, hey, there might be things that I'm really excited about doing, but man, it's going to be really disruptive just stepping back into it.
Yeah.
So being able to kind of maintain conversations with people that help me be able to process and recognize what am I feeling, how am I being affected, what do I need, that stuff's huge.
Yeah. I wonder, you mentioned the word grief, and I feel like to me it's been one of the most fascinating sort of mental health storylines this year is that people are grieving things they can't even really put a finger on. And I would imagine it's common for someone to come to you. I've gone to counseling during a breakup where I know what I'm grieving. I can tell you exactly why I'm sad. And I feel like this year a lot of people, it's hard to even articulate, or we're making sense of racial injustice, a pandemic, the
Yeah.
political climate change, and we're not even sure. I wonder what has it been like to sit with people and maybe just even begin to find words or language for what they're feeling.
Yeah. I mean, grief's a good word for a lot of this. You know, one way I always think about grief is like grief's the emotional process that all of us go through when I transition from one reality to another.
Ooh, that's good.
Right. And that's
That's
just the
our
way
next
I always
T-shirt.
thought. That's just the way I've always thought of it. It is the process by which I move from like this reality that is kind of no longer to this new one.
Wait, will
Right.
you say it again the way you said it?
Yeah. Grief is the emotional process that I walk through that takes me from living in one reality to a new reality.
That is so
It's how I
good.
walk out of one reality into a new one. Right. But here's one weird thing about right now. Nobody knows what the heck we're walking into.
Or when, right?
That thing is defined right now. So my grief is kind of amorphous and just ever present, right? And that's weird. So it's like it's sitting with us, but we're not really sure what we've actually transitioned through, and we don't know what kind of future reality kind of feels like or looks like. And we can believe and hope and know, like I think many of us do, that eventually we're going to be okay. We're going to make it, right? But it's hard to see at this point. So that makes it hard for me to go, oh, I'm grieving this because I'm living in this. It's like, well, I'm grieving that, like, but I don't know because I'm still going to school and I'm still going to work, but yet
Yeah.
can't see anybody. And you know, I ran into some friends when we were driving the other day, and they were walking on the sidewalk, and I stopped and we started talking, and I realized like they're like 20 feet from the car, and I drove away, and I was like, man, that shit's just weird. It's still weird.
Yeah.
It's still weird. And so there's that little piece of like grief of like, oh gosh, I'm not grieving like the loss of the relationship because some element of it is there,
Mm.
but I can't touch it. I can't grasp it. So it's like it's like sitting down at a meal and going, man, okay, I'm not starving. There's food on the table, but I can't really eat. I can't feel full.
So how do you begin to help someone who's in that place? Does it start with do you need to be able to identify what you're grieving?
Oh, that's a good question. There's some good comments coming through about grief too. Tracy Catherine reads. I like that. But you know, we
Yeah, somebody mentioned just
often we never find the definition that we really want, right? And I think that's the thing. Like, I mean, as people, we tend to always feel like if I can name it and understand it and identify it, then I can have power over it.
mm,
And naming it is huge. But naming it's huge because when we name it, we actually get to choose to kind of honor it and recognize it, and it gives me an understanding as to what's going on with me. It doesn't necessarily give me power over it, but it helps me. It kind of have some say about how I respond.
mm,
So you may be able to kind of identify, man, I'm grieving the loss of this, and for some of us, it is helpful to be able to get specific and go, man, what do I miss? In the same way, we would go, man, what am I longing for?
mhm.
Like when I sit in my house at night and you feel that ache, like what feels like it should be there and it's not? Like
Yeah,
what shape is that ache in, right?
yeah.
What used to fit that? And sometimes that's
Dude,
helpful
that's a
because
good line too. You're on a roll.
uh, sometimes it's helpful because then it helps us go, okay, where can I find some of that? How do I
Mm,
grieve that? How do I honor that? How do I like respect that part of my heart really kind of gently and well? But I mean, I think I also want to say, man, sometimes we can't define it as much as we want to, and that's where like whether it's through different ways that we get connected with our physical body, whether that's sitting with a therapist or with friends and trying to kind of connect with what's happening in me emotionally, being able to recognize what's going on in my internal self.
mm.
That's kind of a window into, man, how am I doing? What's going on? What do I need? What am I
Yeah,
missing? What am I longing for? You
yeah.
know?
I feel like hopefully I'll get to a question, but in the last couple of weeks, I feel like I've stumbled upon the idea that there, and maybe this relates to what you just said, but just when I choose to be vulnerable and just say, I'm having a hard time. It's been a really lonely year. It's been the loneliest year I can remember. I allow or even invite people to meet me in those places and in more specifically to care for me. And I just feel like that's been a powerful thing. I even I had a positive COVID test a few weeks ago, and I was just going to keep it quiet. I didn't have any symptoms, and my mom encouraged me to share. And again, the whole time, no symptoms, but my mom encouraged me to share it publicly, and I realized it gave people the chance to care for me, even people I don't know. And I don't know, it just brought me back to that
Yeah.
simple reality that when we choose to be vulnerable and when we admit that something's hard or something hurts, people get to show up and connect with us. And I don't
Yeah.
know, I wonder if you have any thoughts on that, because even my sister Jessica has just reminded me, like, what you're feeling or even the fact that you're struggling, so many people can relate to that this year.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I mean, there's a couple things to that, right? I mean, there's one thing that this is part of like what we talk a lot about shame with the work that we do at
Yeah.
Right Love, right? One of the things that shame does is it tells us that like what you're feeling is really unique to you.
Mm.
And because it's unique to you, nobody else is really going to understand it. And that's just so not true.
Yeah,
As much as like we want to believe we're like our own snowflake, like,
especially if you're a 4 on the Enneagram.
yeah, totally, you are so unique, so unique. But like as much as we want to believe that, like the fact that we feel it, there are countless other people that have felt similar, not specifically exactly the same, but similar enough where we can feel connected. And when like what you're describing, man, I mean, I think that's where vulnerability and authenticity attract vulnerability and
Mm.
authenticity. They draw it out of us, right? Like, and so you sharing like vulnerably about what's going on with your own heart, whether I like it or not, it calls to mind.
Yeah.
Like my internal self like hears that and is drawn towards that. Whether like outer me might maybe like, oh hell no, I and the inner
Yeah.
me is like, oh no, hell yes, like
Yeah.
yes, like exactly what's happening in here, and I may try and squash it, I may try and like get away from it, but like that authenticity and vulnerability, we're attracted to it because that's what we're built for, that's what we long for.
No, that's good, man. Ashlyn's coming up next, you guys. We got a few more minutes with Aaron Moore, licensed mental health counselor from Solace Counseling in Orlando, a few miles from Ashlyn. I
So
wanted
cool.
to come back to the campaign, and I think you've been introduced to this year's campaign, this year's
Yeah.
the words worth living for, and I just wonder what's your take on it? How do these words hit you? What does it bring to mind?
Man, the last couple years have been really good, man. I love it. No, I was kind of thinking about it after, even after you and I talked earlier. And this might sound like a little cheesy, but it hits me. I like it because it's kind of multidimensional, right? Because like when I first hear like worth living for, my brain actually goes to external. I go to, man, like my wife, my kids, like they're worth living for. Um, and where my head goes with it, honestly, is like they're worth living for. They're worth being healthy for. They're kind of worth like getting my shit together for.
Yeah.
They're worth figuring out how I can like kind of be the best me and love them well. And so, and that matters to me. That matters incredibly. Uh, the other piece where it does take me though, is like for me to believe that like that life is like worth living is kind of where it goes, because I'm like, man, if life's worth living, then I'm going, man, then there's hope.
Mm.
Like there's hope. Like you used to say, man, maybe like our best days are like ahead of us, and to go, man, there's hope. Like there's hope that, I was talking to somebody today and we're talking about like, inevitably at some point in life, like winter comes, like the leaves on the trees die and things get dark.
Yeah.
But inevitably at some point the season shifts. And sometimes I feel like we kind of get lost in it. That's cliche, but that's also the essence of hope. And so to me, like when I think, man, like life and just just taking steps going forward, it being like worth living for, it's because I'm going, man, like even if it's dark, like the season will shift.
Yeah.
And like as much madness as it feels like there is right now with everything in our current climate and world, it will not always be this way.
Yeah.
And also like, um, it is not fully this way. You
Mm.
can walk outside and touch the grass and the trees and find beautiful moments
Yeah.
that are just as valid or more so than the heavy stuff.
Yeah.
So
So you already hinted at some of your answer, but we're inviting people to finish the sentence. I'm living for, which to me is it's a powerful exercise. Hopefully it can be a fun exercise, but I wonder if you would share kind of that fill in the blank answer with us. Just
oh,
some of
all the beautiful moments left to come. All the beautiful I'm living for all the beautiful moments left to come.
our friend CJ would approve of that. That's very CJ right now.
Is it? Okay.
He's super into beauty right now.
Yeah, well, like the amount of, like a lot of my week I spent having conversations with CJ.
What about if I said, hey, can you share some of your list? Like what are some of the big and small people, places, things on that list for you?
Oh man, my 8-year-old twins would be on there. My wife's on there. My friends are on there. I mean, even CJ's on there. My friends are on there. A few more good days surfing.
Yeah.
Are on there. Like, yeah, man. Yeah, it's good stuff.
No, that's so good, man. Well, how can people learn more about your work? If someone's in Central Florida and they're looking for a
Yeah.
counselor, how could they find you guys?
Yeah, you can find Solace Counseling FL is on Instagram. Solace, it's SOLACE counseling.org is the website, so you guys can find us that way. Yeah, so
Yeah,
yeah,
and
we're
then
here.
just
We're downtown.
I'm kind of bounced. Yeah, downtown Orlando, beautiful spot near Lake Eola.
Yep.
Um, what are kind of just zoomed out? What are some of the challenges that you help people through?
Yeah, our office is, my wife Michelle, she's a counselor as well. It's me and her, and then Stefan, who's been on here before. He's TWLOHA board member, Stefan Monasterin, our friend Matt Winkles, and our friend A.G. Funderburg. And so a lot of us work with addiction a ton. I do a lot of couples and marriage counseling. So does Matt. And Michelle actually specializes in eating disorders. And we all work with trauma. We all do, well, I do ART and EMDR. Stefan and Michelle also do EMDR. So we kind of cover the full gamut of trauma and depression and anxiety in there too.
Well, man, thank you for being with us. Thank you for the important work you do. As your friend, it's good to see your face and hear your voice. And we'll talk with you down the road. Thank you, Aaron.
Cool. Tell Ashlyn I said hey.
Will do.
All right. See
Thanks,
you,
man.
See you, man.
Bye. Oh, okay. The dogs are joining the conversation. We're going to bring Ashlyn on. Hey. All right. Ashlyn is coming. Thank you guys for waiting patiently. Hi. That's such a good spot. I'm too close. You're doing it. I like it.
Hey, buddy.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm good. Your fans were very kind. They were very polite. They waited for you.
Well, Aaron always has like great things to say. So
oh, he was on a roll today.
No one was booing him off the mic.
No, he was like rattling off awesome one-liners.
He's the best, man. I love that guy.
Thank you for wearing your new t-shirt.
Dude, I love it.
Love it.
I've been wearing it all day. It's the first thing I put on when I woke up.
That's so cool. I'm trying to think. We did this a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Right? We did one of these, and I think we had Allie on shortly after you. But I feel like maybe a place to start is just how is life? What has life looked like since we spoke last?
Yeah, I mean, life has been, pretty much the same. I'm just in lockdown at home and trying to stay fit and active and hopeful for season and training camps and Olympics. So yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to keep my body prepped, including my mind, and really focusing on breathing exercises. I've been like really into Laird Hamilton has like this app that's a breathing app. So I've been like vibing off of that. It gives me like a little vibey, like home feel. It's like pre-surf breathing and like flow and yoga and ice. Like he's awesome.
Yeah.
So him and his wife, I've been doing a lot of their like breathing apps. Yeah. And training just started back up this week. So it's been a little hectic, but it's good to have something on the schedule.
Yeah. So from a mental health and self-care perspective, what has it been like riding the roller coaster of 2020?
Yeah, it's interesting. And I always use that analogy because I hate roller coasters. Like I am very, very structured in everything I do. Like as a professional athlete, we have these phases, right? So we're always in phases building towards something. And like right now we're kind of like building towards the unknown.
Yeah.
So I guess like my hands are up in the air, but I'm like just letting the wind take me right now and doing what I can to control the controllables, which is a little difficult for someone who's so used to, I wake up at this time, I have training at this training sucks, but it's going to build for this. Then it's just like, it's weird, right? Like I'm building towards the unknown, but my hands are in the air and I'm trusting the process.
Yeah. What about specifically and we probably touched on it last time, but you mentioned the Laird app, Laird and his wife, but what are some of the other things you've stumbled upon that have been helpful or healthy?
Just like really getting outside and taking walks and bike rides, like that has been something like Allie and I both have been trying to do, and just becoming ground. Like we need to just ground every day, because I think we are so used to a particular lifestyle that's jet setting, you're here one week, you're at this appearance, you're at this game, you're traveling, you have soccer, like for all that to just stop very quickly has been quite the adjustment for us, and has been, you know, after the first 3 weeks, we were like, this is awesome. We're home. We get to see our dogs, like all these great things. But then, you know, it starts to creep in that this is not normal, and how do I process this? So we've been trying to really just like get outside and see nature and ground and go to the park and take our shoes off and play with our dogs and do the simple things in life we never really get the chance to do.
Yeah.
So I think that's been like the best adjustment for us, is we can wake up and take our dogs for a walk and like do the family thing and cook dinners and not feel rushed around and tired and, you know, living out of a suitcase and figuring out what we're packing next. It kind of almost like makes your head spin a little bit. So being still is very new to us.
Yeah.
And being still is a practiced art, and we're trying to be better at it and not, you know, go crazy inside and go crazy not working and, you know, all the things that are so unknown right now. We're just trying to be still and be in the moment and know that everything has a reason, and this is like a phase, and this phase has purpose. And I'm super hopeful that it's a massive time for reflection for everyone to see everything on the grander scope of what's going on in our world and how we have the time now to make it a better place.
Yeah. I just thought of this as you were talking, but obviously so much has been going on in terms of change, in terms of politically, racial injustice. Obviously there's an election coming up. You've been outspoken for years. You've used your voice, you've been honest, but I wonder what have you been thinking about, and maybe even more specifically, what do you feel like you're learning this year?
The importance of the impact I want to make that's not just on the field, or not just leaving the legacy behind of being a good soccer player. You know, it's like, what type of impact am I going to make? A long-lasting impact. I think this is such an interesting this is such an interesting time, right? And there's been so much change, and it's such a good time and I have had to do that.
Oh, I feel like she might have froze. Will you guys let me know if did Ashlyn freeze? All right, I'm going to bring Ashlyn back on. Thank you guys for being here with us. Somebody said Orlando Wi-Fi strikes again. Hi.
What happened?
Somebody blamed it on Orlando Wi-Fi.
I know, we have a bad storm here right now.
Yeah, I'm an hour east of you, and you can tell it's about to go down. That's very Florida summer.
Yeah, every afternoon it's been crushing us.
Is that why you guys, I just put that together. Is that why you practice in the morning?
Oh, absolutely. You cannot practice in the afternoon.
Yeah.
It's impossible. Impossible here. So.
Do you remember what you were saying before?
Yeah, I just was saying, like, it's such a time for reflection, right? And that includes personal reflection. And I just felt like I want to leave this place better than I found it. Like, I want to leave a legacy where the things I did mattered and improved circumstances for everyone, and not just for a particular party or status or race or gender, all these different things. Like, you go into this like rabbit hole where you want to fix everything. And I think that's a place I went to where, I wanted to, fight for social justice and, equality in terms of like workplace and pay equity and, mental health and suicide prevention and homeless LGBTQ youth. And sometimes I have to take a step back and be like, okay, I need to fight for this right now because this is really relevant and this is really important. And even though I have all these things going on in the background, like I'm still fighting for those, but I can't do it all.
Yeah.
But I can get people on board and get people reflecting the way I like if you even look at our team, how much we've grown as people throughout this year and using platforms to stand for things we believe in. And I think this time has really given us the chance to reflect of, okay, we can't play soccer, but like we could really make a massive impact from like our social or the brands we're creating. We have moms. We've, look at Crystal Dunn, like being so outspoken right now, for Black Lives Matter. And it's just like, it's so freaking awesome to see such powerful, influential women make a change, like a social change and impact current events. And, especially with like voting stuff right now, there's so much we can be doing and we just can't be silent, like we can't just be like, oh, well, if it doesn't affect me, I don't care. Like that's not good enough anymore.
Sure. What I asked you if I could ask this when we spoke earlier, but I wonder what has it been like since winning the World Cup, you get married? I feel like your platform has just grown and grown. There's more attention, there's a brighter spotlight. And I'm sure a lot of that is fun and exciting. There's sponsorship opportunities, but I would think there's pressure, there's challenges. And I just wonder, what has it been like to navigate that, like over the last, year plus?
I think there's like such a responsibility when it comes to putting yourself out there and your beliefs out there and where you stand. It can be such a vulnerable, scary thing to do. But the thing I always hold on to is my truth. Like I'm literally for the first time in my adult life completely living my truth and sticking to my path, and no one can take that away from me. So no matter what people have to say, if they don't agree with me, if they're within my family, or if they're on social media and Twitter, like I am living my truth, and that is something that no one can take away. So like that gives me two legs to stand on. And I invite people into my space.
Sorry.
So very good. I invite people into my space where they have the opportunity to feel that too. And I think that creates this snowball effect where we become bigger and bigger and bigger, and we have this like unbelievable force of incredible people, feeling authentic and vulnerable to do the same, right? And that's what creates change.
Yeah.
And that's a scary thing to do. And it's scary sometimes, like, ooh, what are my friends going to say? Ooh, what are my what is my family members going to say? Like, some conversations are hard, but they're so necessary and they're so important.
Yeah. How important for you is it to connect, maybe even with teammates, but with friends who can relate to what your life looks like, and maybe even some of these new opportunities and challenges? Obviously you have Allie in your life, in your house, but I would think, as the question I asked you about a growing platform, a bunch of your friends who are your teammates can relate. And so I wonder, has that been important to not navigate these things alone?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for us, we're so supportive of each other. And I think for far too long on our team, and this is a society thing too, You know, it was like, oh, that really doesn't, if I don't look like that, right? So that doesn't matter to me. You know, I'm not gay, so gay rights don't matter to me,
Yeah.
you know, and I think it changed. There was this switch, right? Where, you know what? We're not taking care of our moms in the league. You know what, Jess? That matters to you. That matters to me. You know, social injustice doesn't necessarily affect me, but it matters to a lot of people that stand next to me. So now it matters to me. And I think that is the message we are continuing to spread, especially with, you know, the election coming up. I think for far too long, we have these almost blinders that if it doesn't affect me, I don't care, and I can turn, you know, a blind eye to it. And it's holding people accountable that, like, no, that's not okay.
Yeah.
And we need a collective that fights for each other to make huge impact and change. And I think like our team got that, and now it's like, okay, now how can we get everyone else to understand? So I think that's kind of been the biggest momentum of all of the things we're doing with social injustice and, you know, pay equity and women in the workforce. And we're just like, we're just creating attention and conversation and conversation. And I think no matter what happens, whether we're in a lawsuit with US Soccer and things aren't going our way, that doesn't take away our voice. That doesn't take away our message. That doesn't take away our momentum. Like, we're not going to stop. We're not going anywhere until this is a place where we can all feel like we belong equally.
Yeah.
And that is worth fighting for. And it's going to take time, but it's like, we're here for the long run.
Yeah.
You know, we're here for the long run.
Let me ask you this, because obviously with To Write Love, we talk so much about community, about the idea that people need other people. We think that friendship is sort of a miracle, and it's so important as it relates to mental health. And I feel like what you just talked about is how the team is showing up for each other. And obviously, if someone is watching and they're a soccer fan, these names are really exciting to them. But how and why do you think that happened? Why did that shift happen where you guys started to show up for each other's issues, and even maybe practically, like, is it a group text? Is it one-on-one? Like, how did you guys get there?
I think the turning point came when Megan Rapinoe knelt, or there was a real big turning point when she decided to kneel during the national anthem. And I think it was a new topic and subject for all of us, and we didn't know what to do, so we were silent.
Yeah.
And she went through a lot by herself. Someone who's my best friend, I take responsibility to. It was easier to be silent than to stand or kneel with her and understand the scope. No one dove in to understand just to like understand the point and the concept and what she was doing. And we kind of like left her out to dry alone, and a lot of stuff happened, and she took a lot of heat. And I think from that time period on, no matter what, we stand together. If it mattered to her, it needed to matter to us. And silence is not, you're becoming part of the problem.
Yeah.
You know, and we had to reflect and understand that. And we dropped the ball. We did. Yeah. And I think from that day on, moving forward, you know, we stick together, you know, and if it matters to someone, it matters to all of us. And
That's amazing. She might have froze after that brilliance. If she did, we'll get her back. Let me see. All right, we'll try. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for being here. We're We're going to bring Ashlyn back on. Thank you for your questions. We're going to get to some of those in a moment. Ashlyn's coming back now. Hey.
I have no idea why
it's okay. It was at the end of a great thought, so
yeah.
it was good.
Yeah, but I think that was definitely the turning point for all of us. I think we had to reflect and realize like we screwed up and we needed to do better. And I think we've done a pretty good job moving forward of making a big impact. And you know, just like you said, like the sense of community, and
yeah,
I think it's so key.
I feel like you're sharing. Everyone loves the sort of the happy ending, or like we figured it out and now we're together, but we're there. I imagine there were some hard moments and hard conversations along the way, and I'm thinking that's what everyone watching can relate to, is how do we disagree? How do we fumble through this together? And I wonder, would just basically like, were there hard moments along the way to get where you guys are now?
Yeah, I think it's like super scary, right? Like when you're just everything is put on the line, when your job and your like reputation, your brand, everything, your sponsorships, like everything is put on the line. And it's a very vulnerable, scary position to be in, but like that's what's it takes to create change. And you know, to make a massive impact, we literally have to be ready to lose it all. And I think at that time we weren't ready because we didn't know what was on the other side. We didn't know how difficult it would be. We didn't know what we would lose.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's a humbling experience. It was definitely a very, very difficult time, more so probably for her than all of us. But I mean, look at her now. Like,
yeah.
you know, that's the beauty of the other side. That's the beauty of sacrificing it all for someone who maybe doesn't even look like us. Like, that's going to create the real change here.
Yeah.
And that's what people have to be willing to do.
Yeah. No, that's so good. I might try to keep you on for a few extra minutes, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
So before we get to the 5 o'clock mark, can we take a few questions from these folks?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And then maybe
I'm keeping my fingers crossed that the storm doesn't completely.
You're doing great. It's thunder and lightning here, but we're okay. All right. Thank you guys for these questions. I'm going to try to find, let's see. Here's a great one to start with. How did you get the confidence to live your truth and be yourself?
I think it's really exhausting constantly trying to be someone you're not. Honestly, it is probably the most wasted energy you'll ever do. And finally I just got tired of being someone I wasn't, and so worried about a popular vote, or if someone would like me, or you know, almost seeing myself through someone else's lens. I just got over it. Like, if I'm going to be able to stand in this body, like, I got to live my truth. And if people don't like it, it seems like it's a whole lot to do with them and very little to do with me.
Yeah. So good. I like this one. Has anything changed since being married?
No, actually. I mean, Allie and I have been together for 9 years. We have great communication. You know, we have really taken the right steps to build this life we're creating. So for me, like, nothing has really changed besides I know happy wife, happy life. So if she wants or needs things, it's all about compromise. So I'm learning that very, very quickly.
Okay. You guys, these are great questions.
Yeah, I'm so happy so many people are on. This is awesome.
Was it hard coming out?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely, and truthfully, I publicly came out, I want to say 2019, so it was very new.
Yeah.
And I was scared to lose everything. I was scared to lose my job. We played on the same team. I was scared to lose my sponsorships. There was so much riding on it. So it was difficult. It was difficult. But I felt like I just like wasn't being my true self to everyone. I felt like there was always a missing piece. And you know, when you walk into a room and you always feel like there's like an elephant on your back, it kind of starts to weigh at you and weigh at you and weigh at you till it's like you're dragging yourself into rooms and you're dragging yourself into conversations. And I was just ready to just take the weight off of my shoulders. And it's been the most freeing thing I've ever done.
Mm.
And as soon as it like came out, I was like, ah, and then I was like, this is amazing. Like I just felt like it all, like this scary demon movie where like The Grudge,
Yeah.
all this bad energy left me, you know? Like it was, I felt so light and I could stand up and walk into a room and not think, are they going to treat me different if they know? Or I can't hold her hand in public. I can't, you know? Like
Yeah.
that's just like no way to live. And we're on borrowed time. You know, every day we're on borrowed time. And I want to live as authentic as I can. And that is when I was just like, you know what? I'm 33, 34 years old. It's time to just live my truth. And I love myself. And it's taken me so long to get to that point. It was the next step for me. And it was the best decision I ever made.
Yeah. It's so good. We'll do another one, and then I'll bring you back on in a couple minutes. Well, we'll end it and come back in a couple minutes if that's okay.
Okay.
There's another good one I saw about social media. Let's see. Dun, dun, dun. Hang on. It was basically, I can't find it because there's so many, but what's the relationship between social media and mental health for you?
Interesting. I think I create boundaries. I create safe boundaries with social media because it could be a rabbit hole, you know, like if you get too addicted to what other people think and reading every comment and you know, oh, well, she looks like that and her hair looks like that and mine doesn't and her vacation house looks like that and my, you know, like it's such a dangerous hole to get into negatively. So I have to set boundaries where I draw in, like a lot of the things I follow are my interests, right? So fashion designers, things that are being, you know, innovated and created and coffee shops and to write love on our arms, like good messages, you
Yeah.
know, something that is going to give me a good laugh where I don't have to judge myself every turn. I'm not looking at every model and celebrity wondering why my body doesn't look like that and my boobs don't look like that. You know, it's like such a joke. And that's kind of what social media leads to is the feeling of I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
And I just create safe boundaries where I have space to let people in and see what my life, you know, what's going on and a place where they can feel connected and a place, a safe space that we celebrate our differences. I think that's key. I try to engage as much as I can with people and let them know that this is a community where we all play equal parts and you know like I need them just as much as they need me and
Yeah.
I think that's the beauty of it. You know, there's times where you follow these celebrities and they don't follow anyone else back. It's always a means to an end, and that's never been the case for me.
Yeah.
And I always want to be very honest with that. And that's the brand and legacy I've always wanted to leave behind is like, what kind of person was she? Not kind of what kind of athlete she was, or, you know, the gold medals that are collecting dust on my shelves right now. You know, it's
Yeah.
truthfully like the connection I've made over this beautiful journey. And, you know, I want to bring people along to reflect and see how they can do that in their space, how they can do that in their community, how they can have a voice no matter how big or small their following is. Like, that's what matters.
Yeah.
Not, you know, a swimsuit model in Sports Illustrated that will never look like me.
Yeah. Although you do know a lot of Sports Illustrated swimsuit models now.
Well, yeah, I do.
And they play soccer.
And still my body still does not look like theirs.
Sports Illustrated has done better at getting a lot of different bodies.
That's very true. That is true. Like as of last year.
Yeah.
But very true.
That's true.
Small successes, we'll take it.
Yeah. All right, can we end this one and I'll bring you right back?
Yeah, sounds
Okay.
good.
All
Okay.
right, you guys, come right back.
Bye.
I love that. And yeah, well, I know I've said it, but hello, welcome back. We're gonna bring Ashlyn right back on. Thank you guys for sticking with us. We just crossed the hour mark, so Instagram shuts us down. We're bringing it now. We're making it work in a storm. Hi. Thank you. Thanks for coming back.
Of course.
And thank you to everyone who's showing back up. So I wanted to ask you about the campaign, and maybe before we even get to this year's campaign, and we've talked about this in the past, we've talked about it in this setting, but I wonder, what has it been like you supporting To Write Love on Our Arms and you supporting our World Suicide Prevention Day campaigns in recent years? What has it been like through your eyes?
I think it's helped me in a lot of ways live a more authentic life and be able to share not only, I think it's so easy in life to share good things. You know, it's easy for me to share the gold medals and the success and, you know, all the great things that have come through my soccer, but also to really share the hard moments and the things that haven't been so great and the things that people don't necessarily always want to talk about. It's made me understand the importance of sharing the hard things and not creating a stigma around mental health and, you know, anyone who at some point, you know, who lives in this lifetime has had really, really hard days. Now, how they deal with it is personal, but I have always internalized everything, and I'm supposed to be positive and I'm supposed to, you know, live this great lavish luxury life, and it's just so not true, and it's exhausting trying to pretend and keep that up. I love supporting To Write Love on Our Arms because it also normalizes and makes me feel like, okay, it's okay that I'm not okay. And I don't have to, it's a sense of community that has felt so good in my soccer world because, you know, if I don't have a great game or if I make a bad decision, I have so many people who are supporting me and lifting me in those bad moments that it makes life easier. You know, like I have such a great community of people through To Write Love on Our Arms that I get to share all the hard things and not feel alienated or weak or shameful. And I think that is so cool and so major because I live a really difficult lifestyle, and most people probably think otherwise. I live a very isolated, lonely lifestyle that people probably don't realize. And the only thing that gets me through is being able to talk about it and having people around me understand it. And that's what To Write Love on Our Arms has given me. It's given me this culture and community of people where it's okay not to be okay. And I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect in a very imperfect world, and this is a very difficult life to live. All these moving pieces and all these cameras on you all the time, and it's like I'm not always going to live up to everyone's expectation, and people are so graceful with me. Um, yeah, so I think that that's really, really special,
Yeah,
and I think not many people have that or understand that they have that.
yeah, that's awesome. I love that. And yeah, well, I know I've said it, but I speak for our team that we're just so grateful for you and your support and your place in this whole thing, and even me personally getting to call you a friend. Do you want to share maybe what recent years, what your support has looked like, and what you're going to do again this year?
Yeah, so for National Suicide Prevention Month in September, Allie and I will be donating and fundraising a game worn jersey with our World Cup badge. And we'll be auctioning that for the proceeds to go towards getting people help, man. Getting people the help they need right now during a really difficult time, and that's really important to us and really special. And we love doing anything we can to get more counseling and get more people on crisis hotlines because it's so needed right now.
Mm, that's amazing. The bar has been set really high after the last couple of years, and we never, it's never set in stone. It's never a given or expected. So it means the world that you want to keep doing that. And uh, I joked with Allie the last time we had her on, because last year there was this really sweet moment after a game, because last year it was you, Alex, Tobin, and Kristen all
Mm-hmm.
donated jerseys, and we raised all this money. And Allie just quietly after the game, after the fact, said, "Hey, I would have loved to have donated my
Uh,
jersey." And it
I
was like no
know.
one ever asked her. So this year we asked her.
We have to, yeah.
Yeah.
She's on board. I'm probably going to throw in a few more extra items because I just signed with Adidas and they
Yes.
have some unbelievable new goalkeeper gloves. So I actually will be throwing in a new pair of custom Harris Adidas gloves. So,
Amazing. That's so
yeah.
cool. So there's going to be a couple ways, one of which already exists, but I shared at the very beginning, we have a $250,000 goal, and all of that money is going to go to helping people get professional help in the form of treatment and counseling. And Ashlyn, as an individual, is going to be fundraising once again. She's done it the last couple of years. So I think the goal, you've been over 10,000 the last couple of years. So you're starting at 10,000,
Okay.
which for almost anyone would be impossible. But all these people who are here, so there's going to be the Ashlyn's fundraising page, and then it's going to take us a few days to put together the jersey raffle. And Ashlyn and Allie are in, and I'll hit up a few other friends. But we're super grateful and excited to be able to share that with everyone today. Um, yeah, what has it been like sharing it, or kind of processing it with Allie? Where, because I think for a lot of years I wondered if To Write Love was just your thing, and it's been really neat to learn that Allie cares and gets it and wants to support as well.
I think she knows how important it is to me. And I think that's such a great thing between her and I is like she knows how big of an impact, To Write Love has been on my life. And she always wants to support me. And, Allie's been living her truth as well and being very honest. And it has taken her a long time to get there. I think even in our relationship, I had to be very patient, with her living her life the way she is presently, because she used to be very reserved and very quiet, didn't want to talk about problems, didn't want to talk about relationships. And man, now that we're just so open and honest about life and the things that are, you know, that are difficult and hard, you know, coming out about our relationship, it's just like, it's been this like evolution where there's no turning back and we're an open book. And it's been such a cool transition, not only, you know, clearly for me personally, but to see her growth and to be able to hear her. You know, a lot of stuff we do now is together. You know, there's no Ashlyn without Allie at this point. We're a married couple. And just to be able like to sit next to her in interviews and hear the insight she has, and like to sit back and be like, man, this is the most incredible woman I've ever met. And like, it has taken her so long to get here. And I think it has a lot to do, you know, with To Write Love on Our Arms and being open and honest and like talking about addiction. And it's really present in her family, and not being, you know, not feeling shameful about it. And, you know, it's just been such a beautiful energy to see her so real and honest and raw. And that's when she shines, you know, and that's when people feel like they're really tapping into something special. And I just like sit back sometimes and I'm like, this woman is absolutely incredible, you know. And it's awesome because now we have to like fight, you know. Jamie comes on, you know, calls or texts, he's like, yeah, I'd love to have one of you guys on. It's like, I got to be the first one to say anything or she's gonna take it. So I mean, how cool is that, that, you know, To Write Love means just as much to her as it does to me, you know.
Yeah.
I think that that's so special, and just a testament like of our relationship, that like if it matters to me, it definitely matters to her. And that's what I love about us.
Yeah. No, I followed up. I texted her after we spoke and I followed up about the jersey, and she said yes. And then she thanked me for asking, which, you know, it, in my shoes is just, it's like, no, like we're so grateful, you know, but it was just such a kind response. Thank you
Yeah.
for asking me to give you my World Cup jersey.
She's so genuine. It's so
Yeah.
sweet.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for spending all this time and even extra time with us. And thank you for supporting the campaign. Before we let you go,
Yes.
we love asking everyone, and this is true for the people watching, what do these words mean to you? Worth living for? What comes to mind? And maybe if you could, I asked Aaron, what are some of the things on your list?
So for me, like in this moment, and I wanted to say this like before I got off live with you, like it is so very important right now for people to vote. Like this is,
Mm,
I have to use all my platforms to make that very clear, that like it is so important to vote in this state in the world. And I know, like, even looking at headlines today about suicide numbers going up, and more so than ever, people contemplating suicide and abusing drugs and alcohol. And we're in such this wild washer machine right now. We're all just spinning. It is so crucial for us to vote, because I'm hopeful. Like I'm literally living for the future. Like I need to wake up to feel that we live in a place where we all belong equally.
yeah.
And I am willing to do whatever it takes. And I hope everyone else is willing to do whatever it takes. And yeah, that's really it's interesting. There's so much I want to live for, like myself and my family, but right now it's really, I want to live for a day I wake up and feel like I belong as a gay woman, just like any gay man, straight man belongs. Like I want to play for a country that we all belong equally. And I'm willing to do whatever it takes. And that's why I'm urging and pleading and begging people to vote for a better future, like to vote for a better place where we all feel safe. I want to be hopeful to wake up and feel safe as a gay woman and
Yeah.
have equal rights as anyone else. So that is my biggest, my biggest thing is I'm very hopeful for the future and I'm living for what is next. I've lived out this phase and it has created a lot of uncertainty, but I know that I have had to live this phase for a reason. It has caused me to dig so deep and understand, like, I had to open my eyes and realize there's a lot of people that don't feel safe in this country. And what am I going to do about it?
Yeah.
And I hope that people feel that too.
Yeah.
So go vote.
That's so good. Do you wanna? What if we give you a second, like another list? Like if we can pull off the voting, because I'm with you. Do you mind sharing some of your list of what else makes life worth living?
Yeah, I'm still writing this book that's so unfinished, like I want to do so many things that I haven't been able to do yet. And I want to have a family and I want to have kids and I want to have more family reunions. I want to build more memories. I want to do great things. I want to see things in the US I've never seen. I want to go to Montana. I want to go to see beautiful landscapes and I want to keep an open eye that like life is so worth living if I just wasn't so hard on myself and gave myself a little bit more grace. So I think for me, yeah, it's just like seeing the world and really seeing it. I think for so long it's just kind of been passing me by and passing me by and I've just been existing. Like these last few months have really given me a chance to reflect and there's so much that I have seen that I haven't seen, if that makes sense. I've been everywhere, but
Yeah.
I haven't seen what I guess I have a new lens, and I'm just so hopeful and grateful and humbled by the current events and being able to go back now as a different person and live life in a totally different perspective than before. And I wake up every day being grateful that I still have the chance to do all the things I've wanted to do. And right now I can't even think of a ton of things. I'm just so hopeful and so grateful for what's yet to be seen in my new lens.
Yeah. No, that's so good. Somebody, I think it was Glacier National Park. Somebody gave you a Montana.
I've been dying, so that's exactly where I want to go. Yeah, it's
I've,
exactly. I want to go to Alaska. I want to go check out, cool places in Canada. I want to go to Jackson Hole. I want to do so much.
I thought you were gonna say Jacksonville at first, and I was like, she hasn't been to Jacksonville.
I've seen you in Jacksonville. You've come to games in
That's
Jacksonville.
true. That's funny. Um, well, again, thank you so much. Thank you for being vulnerable, for being honest, for being yourself, and thank you for years of friendship and support. Do you mind hanging with me while I sign off? Is that cool?
Hell yeah, I'm ready.
Awesome.
I'm not going anywhere.
So just to recap, again, worthlivingfor.com. You can learn all about the campaign. It's happening between now, leading up to September 10th, which is World Suicide Prevention Day. That week in the U.S. is National Suicide Prevention Week. But for us, September 10th has become our Super Bowl, just the biggest day of the year. Ways to get involved, ways to learn more, ways to donate, ways to fundraise. You can support Ashlyn's fundraising page. We're going to post that and we're going to link to it in our story here. And you might see it elsewhere, Twitter, Facebook. But we're going to share Ashlyn's fundraising page. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
And again, we'll keep you posted on the jersey raffle as we put that together. Ashlyn and Allie are confirmed, which is amazing. We're going to be hosting a roundtable conversation on Facebook this Thursday, and the conversation is going to be around stigma. Steve Wynn, Jessica Orenstein from the Jed Foundation, Joelle Leon, and Sarah Johnson from Mission 22. That's Thursday, 4 p.m. Eastern on Facebook. And we are trying to raise $250,000, which will pay for 3,500 individual counseling sessions. And it will also allow 45,000 individual searches using the Find Help tool on our website. So if you don't know, you can come to our website, click on Find Help, enter your zip code, choose your filters, and within seconds find local mental health resources for you, for a loved one in your local community. That's something that we are proud of and excited to be able to share, and that's part of what we are fundraising for this year. We want to remove the financial barrier. We want to remove all the barriers we can so that people can access help as it relates to mental health. And as it relates to suicide prevention, our hope is that people will choose to stay alive, that people will believe that life is worth living. That's why Ashlyn is here with us. That's why she's been with us for years. So even to you, the individual watching, we know it's been a hard year. It's been such a strange year. We don't pretend to know the ins and outs of your situation. We know some people are out of work. There's so much uncertainty, but please know that you matter. Your life matters. Your pain matters. Your future, your dreams. You're worth whatever help you need for however long it takes. My friend, any closing thoughts for somebody who's watching?
Yeah, I'm so grateful for all of, I can see all the comments. Thank you to all the fans who, have tuned in. And I just want to make it very clear that sometimes when I say fans, it really means friends. Like, I really appreciate the friendship and you guys trusting me enough to come support To Write Love on Our Arms. And I appreciate you telling me very vulnerable stories about your life, and I hold that very sacred, and I love you all truthfully from to the bottom of my heart. There's no me without you, and I am just so lucky to have such a great community of people who support my missions, and we are absolutely here for you every step of the way. And yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and until next time, Jamie.
So good. Thank you, Ash. Love you.
Love you, buddy. Talk to you soon.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.